There is no architecture without light. And if you've spent any time building in Planet Zoo, you probably know that lighting has never been the game's strongest side. But that's about to change. Planet Zoo 2 aims to significantly improve its lighting system and deliver some of the most realistic environments this franchise has ever seen. In this video, we'll take a look at everything related to light and lighting in Planet Zoo 2. The video is split into two parts. First, we'll go through everything we currently know about the new lighting system and discuss how these changes could improve the building experience. Then, we'll move on to the wishlist section, where I will share a few features I would love to see added, drawing from my background in architecture and architectural visualization. If you're only interested in future possibilities and wild speculation, feel free to jump straight to the wishlist chapter. Everyone else, please sit back and enjoy what's coming. As I mentioned earlier, one of the main selling points of Planet Zoo 2 is its new and improved lighting system. As far as we know, it is based on the technology introduced in Planet Coaster 2, which finally allowed players to create truly dark indoor spaces for dark rides and other attractions. I'm not a Planet Coaster player, so I can tell. But judging by the footage we've seen so far, that technology has made its way into Planet Zoo 2 almost unchanged. In the official zoo tour, we could already spot dark corridors, enclosed viewing areas, and large caves illuminated only by subtle light coming from nearby habitats, especially aquariums. It's a clear sign that Frontier has taken lighting seriously this time around, rebuilding the system from the ground up and bringing it much closer to the real-life behavior. And for a zoo building game, that matters more than it might seem. With proper darkness finally available, nocturnal houses become a real possibility. Gone are the days of half-dark rooms that only worked if you manually switched the time of the day to night. Instead, you'll be able to focus entirely on the experience itself, guiding guests through dark corridors and revealing animals through carefully placed red lighting, just like in real zoos. And now that animals themselves appear to follow a proper day-night cycle, those experiences could become more realistic than ever before. But nocturnal houses are only the beginning. Covered viewing areas, underground galleries, and enclosed observation points will all benefit from the new lighting model. A dark viewing space contrasted against a bright, sunlit habitat can completely change how a scene feels. By controlling where light appears and where it doesn't, you can naturally draw attention to the enclosure itself and make it the centerpiece of the experience. Because, as I said in the beginning, there is no architecture without light. Today, many architects treat light as a building material in its own right. One architect who, in my eyes, understands this very well is Peter Zumthor. In many of his projects, light isn't just used to illuminate space. It becomes part of the architecture itself. It guides visitors, creates atmosphere, and evokes emotions that would be impossible to achieve through form alone. A perfect example is the Bruder Klaus Field Chapel located in Germany. Inside, dark concrete walls marked by traces of fire contrast dramatically with the bright opening above, drawing your attention toward the light and creating an almost spiritual experience. Architects and visualization artists constantly try to recreate effects like this in their renderings. More often than not, however, they rely on artificial tricks and enhancements to achieve them. And that's exactly where I think Planet Zoo 2 still has room for improvement. In many cases, even the most dramatic architectural renderings need a little help, because natural light isn't always enough. To demonstrate this, I put together a simple build in SketchUp and rendered it in Twinmotion. The image on the left uses only natural light coming from the HDRI environment. The one on the right includes an additional spotlight, complete with a subtle glare effect, highlighting the opening in the ceiling and making the entire space feel more dramatic and monumental. It's a small change, but it completely transforms the atmosphere. At the moment, there are two major limitations preventing builders from achieving effects like that in Planet Zoo. The first is that artificial lights don't properly interact with animals or building pieces. The second is that any attempt to create a focused lighting effect usually requires hiding a large stadium light somewhere above the scene, which often leaves an ugly light source floating over your carefully designed building. Nobody wants that. That's why it's time to begin the wishlist. Let's start with the shadows. Currently, Planet Zoo's artificial lights don't really care what's standing between the light source and the surface being illuminated. Whether it's a wall, a lion or a guest, the light will continue to pass through objects until it reaches the predefined limit. And to be fair, I kinda understand why Frontier made that decision. When working on interior visualization myself, I quickly learned that realistic shadow casting lights can be extremely demanding. In Twinmotion, adding too many dynamic shadows can significantly impact performance, and in some cases it even crashes my program. So I suspect that Frontier made that decision to optimize the game. However, I think Planet Zoo 2 can have a perfect opportunity for compromise. I'd love to see a simple toggle allowing players to choose whether a light source casts realistic shadows or behaves like the current Planet Zoo lights. With the option enabled, light would react to any geometry in its path: walls, guests, animals, foliage and building pieces, creating much more believable scenes. With the option disabled, lights would function exactly as they do now, preserving performance for players with less powerful PCs. The result is very much simple: more freedom for builders, more control over performance, and a solution that benefits everyone. Now let's tackle the floating lights problem. One feature I would absolutely love to see in Planet Zoo 2 is the addition of Null Lights. As the name suggests, a null light is an invisible light source. It doesn't need to be hidden, buried, or disguised as anything. It simply illuminates the desired space without being seen, that's all. For builders, that would be a game changer. Ideally, these lights would come in 5 basing variants: a spotlight, a box light, a sphere light, a line light, and a plane light, each of them for their own little purpose. They could be further customized through a set of simple parameters. Using the spotlight as an example, players could adjust its range, beam angle, attenuation, which controls how quickly the light fades over distance, and overall intensity. These are all standard controls found in most rendering and visualization software, and they offer an incredible amount of creative freedom without overwhelming the user. Now, could we go even further and add support for custom EIS profiles? Sure, we can, but let's be honest, apart from a handful of nerds and architecture students, very few people would actually use them. For many players, the controls I've just described would already be enough to completely transform the lighting workflow. Not only would they make creating realistic scenes much easier, but they would also open the door to far more dramatic and atmospheric architecture than what is currently possible in Planet Zoo. That would conclude the features I'd like to see exclusive to Null Lights. But there are also a few improvements I'd love to see applied to every light source in Planet Zoo 2. The first one is color temperature. I just love the fact that Planet Zoo gives us complete freedom over light colors by allowing us to enter any hex value we want. But if you've ever bought a light bulb, you know that lighting in the real world usually isn't picked by color, it's picked by color temperature. Alongside the existing color picker, I'd love to see a simple Kelvin slider. Whether you need a warm 3000K light for a cozy indoor space or a crisp 5000K light for service areas and backstage, it would make creating realistic scenes much faster and much easier. And this ties back nicely to nocturnal houses. Real zoos often illuminate nocturnal houses with very dim red light that allows animals to feel like they are during the night. Having finer control over color temperature or even dedicated presets for zoo lighting would make creating these spaces much more easier and more realistic. Talking about nocturnal houses, there is one more lighting feature we need to discuss: the on-off presets. Currently, Planet Zoo gives us 3 options: always off, always on, and standard, which turns the lights off during the day and activates them at night. For Planet Zoo 2, I would love to see an additional option, an inverted standard, or, well, let's call it like that, a nocturnal mode. With this setting enabled, the lights would be on during the day and off during the night, allowing nocturnal animals to experience a reverse day-night cycle. This is a system already used by zoos around the world to make nocturnal species active during visitor hours while still maintaining a natural rhythm for the animals. And honestly, I don't see any reason whatsoever why a system like that shouldn't make its way into Planet Zoo 2. I think we've covered artificial lighting, I think so. I don't want to go too deep into outdoor lighting, HDRI changes or environmental intensity adjustments, but there is one feature I genuinely miss. Every time I play Prehistoric Kingdom, I find myself jealous of one small but incredibly powerful feature: the ability to change the sun rotation in screenshot mode. And honestly, this is something that could be implemented in Planet Zoo 2 almost exactly the same way. Imagine being able to rotate the sun position, and therefore the direction of north, while taking screenshots. Suddenly, you're no longer stuck with a beautiful build being ruined by a completely shaded facade. You could simply adjust the lighting and capture your architecture in its best possible conditions. But I think this idea could go even further. What if we could change the sun orientation in the actual zoo itself? After building half of your park, you might realize that the north direction you picked at the beginning creates terrible lighting conditions for your best areas. Instead of rebuilding or accepting those shadows forever, you could simply adjust the orientation of the world. This would give builders much more control over how their creations are presented and allow our best designs to shine. Literally. My throat hurts so much from all this speaking. I don't know what's happening, it's the first for me. So I think it's a sign to end this little video. I hope you enjoyed my insights into this topic, and I hope you enjoyed this video as a whole. If you have any suggestions on what can be further improved in the lighting system, or if you really like something I told you about, please write a comment down below. It helps a lot, it helps the channel. Maybe consider liking this video, maybe even consider subscribing, it means a lot. That our little leader family is growing, and stay tuned for more videos. I think the next video will be a building video for once, and it will be once again from Valby, so stay tuned for that, and I will speak to you in the next episode. Have a great one, and siema, narapa, cześć, ello!